I want to talk a little bit about like your musical background, man. And I want to learn a little bit about kind of when to your, recollection, when was it that you kind of realized that you had a passion for music and music production?
When I was first brought home, and my mom and my dad tell the story all the time, and even my sister's got some recollection of me being in my father's lap. My dad's a musician,
Okay.
and a music producer, so he would sit me down in his lap while he would play on the keyboard and track stuff out. And I'm a newborn, man, straight home from the hospital. So I think the passion came from just growing up around it, growing up around a whole family of musicians, singers, music instruments, all that stuff, man. So just being around that stuff kind of built my passion. I don't think I really took it serious until maybe high school.
Okay.
High school was I graduated in 2009. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm telling my age a little bit, but
Mhm.
yeah, I graduated in 2009, and I believe it was 2008, 2009 that I really realized, oh man, my dad actually has been making part of his living
Mhm.
off of, his musicianship. And,
Sure.
I didn't want to go out and gig or, you know, I wanted to be able to make music that people have forever, and I've seen the life of, traveling musicians, and, they say starving artists or starving musicians or whatever. And I seen that, and I was just like, there's got to be a better way. And I was already making beats, but I think I sold my first beat in my 12th grade year.
Okay.
And I
Nice.
think I sold it for like $250
Uh-huh.
online. And that's when I was just like, bam, it was the proof of concept. It
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like, I made money from something that I enjoyed doing.
yeah.
And it wasn't really about the money. It was about the fact that I could be rewarded more on a monetary level
Mhm.
than, somebody saying, oh, great job. That's
Mhm.
that's a nice beat, or that's a dope song. Um, it was a proof of concept. I've made money from something that I thought in my mind and put it out in the world. So I think that was kind of what drove my passion to take it more serious as far as business. But the passion has always been there,
From
you
the
know.
start, from the day you came home.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's powerful. So so you mentioned your dad being a musician. What kind of stuff does he play? Keys, you said?
Man, my dad plays everything he picks up.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's weird because
Huh.
we would go, and these are type of things that I kind of brushed past in my mind, and kind of took for granted growing up. But we would go to like places like Guitar Center or Mars back in the day, and he would literally go to every section and pick something up and
Oh,
play it like
I
he
love
like,
it.
you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, whether it was like maracas or like a banjo or
Sure.
drums, so
He
and he
loves
would
music.
always say that he could play pretty much anything he touched. But
Yeah.
you know, you never think about that stuff as a kid, and then growing up, it's like, dang, like I wish I would have let him teach me how
Uh-huh.
to
Uh-huh.
how to
And
play a lot of that stuff. So
soaking everything in, man. It's fascinating you say that. And even I asked that same question to a classically trained piano player who's also a Twitch streamer who I had on earlier today. She's from France, actually, so overseas conversation. And I've had this question to a lot of people about where it came from. And what's, I guess, interesting, I've never really asked myself that question, but as I hear more and more about people sort of being in families of musicians, of art, of music, and that usually sort of inspiring something, they grew into it. And
yeah,
that wasn't the case at all on my end. And I think that's probably why, you mentioned from that age, and then you mentioned kind of taking it serious in high school. Bro, I took it serious when I turned 30 a
mm,
few years ago. So I
nice,
was kind of, I in not sixth grade, in high school, for my 16th birthday, my dad, you mentioned Guitar Center. My dad took me to Guitar Center because he was
nice,
into like DJing and stuff like that back in the day, and
sweet,
he knew I was trying to get into music at that time. And he said, "All right, Kev, here's what we're gonna do." He said, "If you want to take this serious, He said, I know you were, looking at that Yamaha Motif keyboard over there. I know you've heard of the Motif before.
Oh yeah.
So the
Oh
Motif
yeah.
is a classic, instrument, and so very expensive, of course, at the time, still is, I'm sure. I mean, they have different models and stuff. But
Yeah.
he basically went half and half with me on that for my birthday, and maybe
Mm,
put up half the money to show that I'm invested in it, and he put up the second half. And that's when I was dabbling a lot in 16, 17, all those years, but never really like did anything serious, never like took it really, really serious, and then kind of
mm,
put it away for a while. And then, bro, when I was approaching my 30th birthday, getting back into learning how to play the piano and just into this whole music production thing is one of the best decisions like I think I ever could have made. I mentioned earlier, I said it was the best decision I ever made, and then I had to hesitate. Said it was the second best decision I made after getting married to my wife.
yeah.
Second best
Yeah.
decision.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You
Definitely.
can't mess that up, right?
Definitely got to acknowledge the first love.
Of course.
Right.
It has to. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. But no, that's a dope story, man. And I think what's fascinating too, I'm, having conversations with people, not even people who necessarily are into music production, but just are trying to figure out, where that passion is for them, where like what's something that they wake up every day thinking about. I was
Yeah.
talking to a friend of mine who's kind of like a mentee kind of relationship with him. He's someone that I kind of coach and talk to about certain things. And he was telling me on the phone, Brandon, he said what he wakes up every day thinking about is stand-up comedy. He said
Mm,
he sees himself, and he's a real funny dude as well. I went to a concert with him before, Chance the Rapper concert. Me, him, and one of my best friends, who I thought was my best friend until I found out that his best friend is someone different than me. I was like, wait, all right, so you're not my best friend anymore. We're just tight, we're just really good friends. But when we were there, we were in Virginia having a good time, and then afterwards, like my favorite sort of type of humor is like doing random things to unsuspecting people, sort of like the hidden camera type thing. And he was doing that the entire time, walking around the stadium and just like doing, some would say childish or silly or whatever. And I was
mm.
just like, yo, this is hilarious what you're doing right now. You get like a little camera. I mean, I'm using my camera to record right now. I have like a little portable joint right here behind, like this could be something that people will really enjoy. But back to
Yeah.
the story, he was telling me how passionate he is about that. And he was saying it in such a way where it was like, man, Kev, like, I wake up every day thinking about this. And he just was kind of looking for, that push to kind of actually do something with it. But I was telling him, and I wonder if you could relate to this, how special it is and how important it is to have, if you've identified that thing that you're passionate about. There's so many people out there that do not have that, have not identified it yet. So it's a great thing that you have something that you're waking up every day thinking about. That means that you're like excited about something. And then it's obviously the planning and kind of trying to figure out a way to kind of make something with that.
For sure. I think it's really important that everybody, not even just, the creative arts. I think it's important that everybody has at least three things that they're excited about,
Mhm,
something that gives them purpose. Um, I had to explore, I took a break from music just recently.
mhm,
I had to explore my other mediums of art. And I
mhm.
had to kind of, and I explained this in the video that I did, but I had to kind of become a consumer again so that I know what it is I like. You
Yeah.
know, I was so busy putting out things for other people and I forgot to actually remember what is it that I want to consume? What is it that I want to produce or um it's just it's really important. And if you find something that makes you feel passionate and excited enough to wake up and want to do it every day,
Mhm.
that's what you stick to. That's the thing that, you know, I don't know if you ever seen that movie Soul, but like
Yeah,
that's
that was a
that's your thing.
yes, yes. It was, yeah,
It's your
yeah.
spark.
That's spot on. And that video that you're mentioning, I'm glad you mentioned it just now because I did have a chance to watch it pretty much right when you put it out, because that was, it was like a ominous, I forget the title, but an ominous and like a real pensive kind of title, right? It was something I was like, all right, I'm interested to know what's going on in your mind, because I think it, and it's so, and I was obviously doing like a little comment reading and stuff, and people are craving that authenticity. And so like for
Yeah.
anyone out there to be able to put out a video that is showing the vulnerable side, and like that is so dope to be able to do that, first of all. And
Yeah.
it's like it's going to be something that I'm sure you probably realize, like inspiring other people to say, oh, it's not all the way that a lot of people kind of make it look like, right? There's like other things at play, and and that's the beauty of it, I think, right? It's like
Yeah.
we're like with you on the journey, kind of praying for and rooting for you to
Yeah.
find whatever that thing is, and then you'll be back and all that. And it's a dope thing to have that community of people that you've met over the past several years.
Man, the community itself is just like I've gotten so much support and so much feedback,
Hmm.
not just from that video, but you know, just in general, from people like yourself reaching out to me, people in the comment sections. I had no idea that I meant, like, people in my I get about 50 direct messages
Hmm.
a day from
Wow.
different people. So, you know, if anybody's watching and they think that I'm ignoring the messages, I'm not. I
Uh-huh.
just have to go. I have to go take my time and go through them. But I definitely appreciate all the support and um, all the feedback, man. Like, people are telling me I'm the reason that they started doing music, and it's just like, man, that's a lot. That's a lot. So um, the the community is definitely key, man, and I'm so grateful for it. But the thing about my journey is, like, I started my channel wanting to help people, and I never saw myself becoming an authoritative figure or somebody to look up to.
Hmm.
Um, I just wanted to show people, hey, this is how I'm doing what I'm doing, because
Sure.
people had questions,
Sure.
before I even got started. Um, Uploading consistently, nobody cared about my beats. Nobody cared about my music, or I'm not gonna say nobody, but it was just it was very slow growth.
Hmm. Hmm.
Nobody cared about the content until I started providing value for it.
Hmm.
And once I started doing that and seeing people get value from it and seeing people being inspired and being a little bit more transparent with my community,
Hmm.
that's when I started to see the growth. The
Hmm.
transparency allowed people to resonate with what I was putting out.
Hmm.
I've got a lot of feedback from other creators that were like, man, your videos are good, but they could be a lot more polished. And I'm like, yeah, I agree.
Hmm.
However, if I polish my videos, if I cut out all the stuff that goes wrong in my videos,
Hmm.
people are going to be so depressed trying to be that, you know what I mean? Like,
Okay, yeah, that
trying
makes
to make a beat in 15 minutes.
okay.
That's like the idea of it. That's cute, but it doesn't always take 15 minutes to do,
Hmm.
and
Rarely.
stitching that stuff together without any mistakes, editing out the the parts that didn't stick.
Hmm.
I rather not. I rather not. And if that's unpolished, then, you know, crucify me for it, because that's what people resonate with. That's what people can relate to. I mess up too. I
Hmm.
My cameras die too. You know what I mean? Things go wrong, things
Sure.
happen, and I get beat blocker or whatever it is too. So once I started bringing that type of value to my community, I think
Yeah.
that's where people were a little bit more loyal to support me.
Man, that's a lot. That's a lot to kind of, think about. That makes a lot of sense. Like when I hear about the inflection point of bringing the value and thinking purposefully about the type of content that you're putting out. I watch a decent amount of videos and podcasts and stuff on, like, the YouTube growth and all this. There's so much information. It can be overwhelming, of course. And I kind of like what you said. I love what you actually said about like what your intentionalness, like, I don't know if that's a word, but being
Yeah.
intentional on your style of video, right? And knowing that, like, when you put videos out, there's always going to be a difference of opinion. I think there was one time, I forget. I mean, there's a few times for sure, like putting out certain videos, and like the length of it, like some like people sometimes take offense if the video is right longer than it needs to be, kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
who's saying how long it needs to be, like, you know? And I get it, right? Putting yourself in those shoes, because like, say for example, you and I are looking up right now on YouTube how to do something or whatever. Like, chances are if we watch a video and it's a lot longer than it needs to be, we're gonna be like maybe like a little bit upset too. Some people, sometimes I'm getting excited, talk about the backstory as well. They'd be like, why? They'd be like, I don't care about all of this extra backstory about what you're saying. Like, I just want just like the information, and I get all that. But I think what I've realized recently is, and I'm blessed, like I would say that I have this, is like having thick skin and not taking everything to heart. Like, that's, if you're someone who gets agitated with, people and comments and stuff, like it would be impossible, I think, to even pursue anything like this. You're putting yourself out there.
For sure.
You are going to encounter people who love you and love what you're doing, and then you'll encounter people who, you don't know who they are, you don't know if they're having a bad day, putting a comment out or whatever, but smile and you reply if you want, but just don't overdo it with, like, getting aggressive or something like that in the chats.
Yeah, I try not to. If I'm having a bad day, I try not to get on. I try not to get on YouTube's, and I try not to make that the day that I respond to YouTube comments or
Yeah.
even whatever. Yeah, people have their tendency to um project their whatevers out on you,
Hmm.
and like you said, just having that thick skin, man, it comes in handy. Um, and one of the things that I practice now too is not to get too high off of the praise.
Mm.
I take the praise the same way that I take the hate.
Hmm. Hmm.
Fire emojis. Oh my god, bro, that was so dope.
Hmm.
Fire emoji. All
Hmm.
all caps, all
Right.
that stuff. And when you do that, you kind of desensitize it's gratitude in that. I definitely appreciate it all, but I can't get too high, or I can't get the big head off of, you know, 700 people liked my video, or you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's cool, but if it's not moving anybody, then what
Yeah.
is it all for?
Yeah. The
Some of
impact.
my
Mhm.
yeah, I'm more on impact and inspiration, and I've been saying that in all my videos, man. Like,
Mhm.
I tell people, if I can create like this, then you can create. Like, do it. Do
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
I recorded a video, and I'm not sure if I'll ever even release it, but it's called "Stop Watching My Videos."
Love it. Okay.
Yeah, and the concept was basically, if my videos cause you to binge watch and never create, if you're just gonna watch my videos back to back to back to back, and then be like, oh, okay, good night, go to bed, that was dope.
Yeah.
He's so cool. I like the way he played, or I like the way he put that beat together. And you don't get anything done after a session of binge watching my channel,
Yeah.
stop watching my videos.
Uh,
Turn it off.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
um, if I don't inspire you, if you're by the end of the video, you're not inspired to create something of your own,
Yeah.
then I'm doing it wrong. We're
Okay.
doing this whole thing wrong. So,
I like that,
um,
man. That's why you
yeah,
got into it. That's what you mentioned. That's why you're doing what you're doing. And there's always needs to be, I think a reason. And what I've learned, I think we can totally relate. And I guess I had a feeling from watching your videos and kind of knowing you from the outside, but now kind of getting a better idea about, who you are as a person and stuff. I can say that there's definitely a intersection there, about sort of the reason behind starting the channel, right? The reason
yeah,
is not like me, it's not like you, it's like them. It's like making content for people, that they could enjoy, and like you use that word, be inspired by, to like, that is so, like you said, it's so much more significant than the empty. And I'm saying it, but I mean, I've had to catch myself recently, and I don't know if you've ever had to deal with this or not, but on Instagram and YouTube Studio,
mhm,
I am launching those apps way too often throughout the day, way too
yeah,
often, and swiping down and see, like, and I that happened a long while ago, and then I kind of understood how to control that, and how to like really say, oh well, you know what? Obviously, I need to be able to respond to comments on YouTube and all that kind of stuff, but my sort of way around that was to delete YouTube Studio from my phone and just keep it on my iPad. So like my iPad, I'm not carrying around everywhere. When I'm somewhere where the iPad is, I can check, boom, it's cool. But if I'm out to dinner or whatever, like I'm not checking how many subscribers I have. Like I don't have the ability to do that.
Yeah, I stopped checking for subscribers. Like people had to tell me.
Uh-huh.
After 1,000, I think it was 1,200 something.
Uh-huh.
People had to tell me that I reached a new milestone every time,
Okay.
even up to whatever it is now. I
Uh-huh.
stopped watching it. I stopped watching how many numbers my videos were, the views were doing.
Okay.
Because once you start doing that, man, it's not too long where you're gonna start comparing, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Well, such and such did this video and they got more views here, or I did a video like this 3 weeks ago and it got way more views, or it got less views. I wonder what's happening. Just put it out, and whoever gravitate towards it does. And like you said earlier, from the haters to the absolute supporters,
Mm-hmm.
whoever's not supposed to be here, I don't want them here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. If I post something that you don't like, feel free to unsubscribe.
Mm-hmm.
You're not. This is not the channel for you.
Yeah.
If it's, you know what I mean. Like
Sure.
if I don't want anybody around me that doesn't want to be around me. So,
Right.
that's just, that goes for anything that I post, anything that I feel, or um, just the way I want to live my life, man. I want to be around people who resonate with me 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that goes for YouTube, Instagram, whatever. So
Across the board. No, that makes
yeah, stop watching the numbers, and just post what you care about.
yeah, yeah. No, that definitely makes sense. I mean, some people would say to that, if you want to get big on YouTube, that you need to understand and look at the analytics. But I think to your point, what's fascinating and what's interesting about that is that that my goal, and it sounds like your goal too. Our goals are not like we don't care about getting big on YouTube. We care about the content we're creating and the community we're creating. And like,
Bingo.
if as a result of that, if building a bigger and bigger community kind of happens organically, then that's awesome. But that's not like what the goal is, right?
That is the key. That is the key. You said organically. So I know how to make a viral video. I know what a viral video does.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to make it. I have the formula
Uh-huh.
for going viral.
Uh-huh. Nice.
For my channel and my social media platforms,
Yeah.
at least I know how to get the attention that people want.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, like you said, organic is you get one or two people.
Mm.
The people who come just to see what, the clickbait or whatever, or people who come to hate, or just curious people, and the
Mm-hmm.
people who actually searched for your video.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
You want the people who searched to stay. And if they don't feel compelled enough to do it organically, telling them to subscribe or telling them to do this for, a chance to win a giveaway and all that stuff. That's why I stopped doing it. I
Mm-hmm.
stopped doing the giveaways and
Yeah.
and all that stuff for for subscribers or for clout or whatever it is. I
Mm-hmm.
stopped suggesting that people like and subscribe, because
Mm-hmm.
it didn't feel like, once again,
Mm-hmm.
if by the end of the video or any point in the video, and maybe that's something I should start saying, at any point in the video you feel inspired to subscribe, or like, or even share the video or whatever it is, do it.
Mm-hmm.
Do it. And some of my most viewed videos gave me the poorest organic interaction.
Say that one more time.
Some of my most viewed videos
Right.
gave me the poorest
Okay.
organic interaction. Like, so all my viral videos are not where I find the true supporters.
Okay.
All the videos that have the least amount of views are the ones who actually um will pay for a Patreon.
Okay.
those are the people who watch every little detail or point out Easter eggs, or you know what I mean? Like they
Yeah,
can guess what's coming next in the next video, or they can they'll ask me about stuff in my room that I forgot I even put in the corner.
yeah,
You know, stuff like that. And those are the people that I gravitate towards, because that's genuine. You actually care, you're actually paying attention to detail.
right.
You rock with me, and you know my favorite colors, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? It's not about me, but it's that community thing. You know
yeah,
what I mean? We know
sure.
each other. We know, it's a growth thing. So viral videos don't bring that type of interaction. They
Mhm,
just bring nosy people.
mhm. Yeah.
So
Wow. Okay.
the numbers don't always mean success in community.
Right. I love that perspective. That's actually definitely helpful for me to hear. As I mean, you kind of hit it on the head. You said you have the formula for, viral video, and you kind of probably have tons, lots of ideas of either videos or things to do that are just coming sort of every day. You're like, oh, this might be cool. And that's kind of how I am. I have like, that Cortez blackboard over there. You can't really see the stuff written on it, but
Yeah.
like, what there's ideas that just pop up, and trying to think of the point I was trying to make on that front. But I will say that that's very helpful for me to hear right now, because I think the point I was going to make is that sometimes I feel a little bit overwhelmed with the vast number of ideas. And I'm like, oh, there's so many different things that I have to do. But in
Yeah.
reality, like you said, just kind of enjoying the process and just having fun
Yeah.
with it, being organic with it. And the whole asking for likes and all that stuff, it never or subscriptions, it never felt and feels natural to do that. But I like what you said about like I've caught myself sometime when I'm watching a video, when people say it in certain ways, it's a reminder for me, because most of the time I'm not, like, it's like full screen. I see the video, I don't even see the subscribe button, and when I get the information I need, I'm out. I'm going to do whatever I got to do. So a lot of times I've realized that depending on how it's delivered,
Yeah.
it sometimes is very helpful for me as a reminder. So it's all kind of, I think, strategic, and
Yeah.
like you said, being genuine with your approach and kind of what it is that you're, what you want to relate to your viewers, I guess.
For sure. For sure.
Definitely.
And just even your language, choice of words. Yeah,
Hmm.
like you said, the way it's delivered can make or break that interaction. It's all an interaction from the time that I sit down in my chair or sit down at the desk and turn the camera on. I'm talking to somebody.
Mm.
It's going to take them a while to be able to respond. It's like me sending a message from space, you know.
That's an interesting way of putting it, bro. Okay.
I
Yeah.
have to put it out there so that by the time 10 years later you're watching this and then you get my message,
Mm.
you can you can respond to that, you know.
Hmm.
But yeah, just the way that I want to have conversation with people, I try to put that in my videos, you know.
Hmm.
I try to picture as if, like you were sitting here in the room where we're talking right now. I
Yeah.
try to have that same type of interaction to the camera, or
Wow.
on live or whatever. So that helps.
That's super helpful. That's super helpful. Let me talk to you a little bit about your music and your music making process and stuff. So I'm interested. I talked to someone by the name of Anthony Clint. Have you seen his content ever before?
Yes.
Clint Media
Yes.
Productions.
Yes.
So I had him on, super dope guy, ton of information that spoke to me, because like the stuff that he specializes in is kind of where I see my music kind of going, right? That media type thing. And
Yeah.
we were talking a little bit about like all virtually all pretty much all the music that I've made is always from scratch, and it's never for a thing like, Kevin,
Yeah.
we need this song for this thing kind of thing. It's like, oh, we need an up tempo song, okay, so it's never been that yet.
Okay.
um he was telling me about how, the way that business works, like there's websites and there's like, specific types of music that companies are looking for, and then you get a
Yeah.
contract and you can like make something. And so I wanted to know from your end, like when you're sitting in front of your sitting at your desk and you're about to, go into music production mode, is most of the time when you're sitting there, are you kind of starting from scratch where you don't have a specific type of song that you need to make, and it's just like it's like whatever kind of happens organically, or is it more the other way, or is it kind of like balanced with both scenarios?
Okay. Well, so it's actually, let me touch on the first thing. It's funny that you mentioned Clint,
Hmm.
Anthony Clint, because I I started following him maybe 3 years ago,
Oh
and he
wow.
reintroduced the fact that I could make beats for TV.
Okay.
And that was I accidentally landed a couple of placements
Nice.
through other people, collaborating with other people
Okay.
on commercials and TV shows and stuff like that.
Right.
And that was all like, oh, okay, cool. We got stuff on syndications, and it's just floating around. Great, cool.
Yeah.
I've landed stuff on HGTV, um, TBS. Um, yeah.
Okay.
So some of my most recent stuff is on Hulu and the BET Plus app. Hopefully I can get something on Netflix, but
There you go.
yeah. But yeah, he reintroduced the concept of making beats for TV, right?
Mm.
So, and that was like 3 years ago. So I started to be a little bit more intentional. I have days now
Mhm.
where I try to make something that I would like to hear on a commercial, or
Mm.
um, it's never like let me sit down and make beats for this show or anything like that. I kind of shoot in the dark, you
Mhm.
know.
Mhm.
Um, but as far as just like organic music making, or just sitting down to make a beat, um, I don't think I have any type of direction. Whatever comes out, I decide. Actually, probably when I'm naming it, what it'll be for,
Okay.
um, and what it feels like.
Mhm.
If
With
it
the
feels
vibe.
good, then that's where it'll go. So,
That's dope. Okay.
um,
What's your so your naming process, that makes a lot of sense to me. I actually did yeah, I did a video recently. I was mentioning this, that like when I was using Ableton back in the day, I had the worst naming convention. I had no creativity, right? After making
yeah.
a song, it was just Untitled one, two, three, one. And then as you can imagine, once you get past what, 30 or 40, you're like, yo, you got to check this song out. They're like, all right, cool, cool. Let me check it out. And you're like, all right, let me see which one
Did
is
I
it.
did I is it 37 or 39? What is it?
Right, which one is it? I know it was a prime number. Let me see. Where's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I, I've
Yeah, I think we all have that.
I've gotten a little better with that. It sounds like, so when you're mentioning, when you're working on something, maybe if it has that pull, if it has that feel, you'll call it whatever. You'll call it something that come like first thing that comes to mind, and you just put it in there.
So the way I started naming my stuff is by feeling.
Yeah. Okay.
So of course, we all have that walking on the beach. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
so I started naming my stuff like that, from scenes
Okay.
to actual song titles.
Okay.
So if I intended on it being a song, I'll actually name it something that a song would be named, as
Okay.
opposed to like a scene.
So what is your main production equipment or software, or do you kind of use a lot of different things?
I was scared that you were gonna ask me that. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I use whatever I have in my hand at the time,
Okay.
and that's no joke.
All
I
right.
like, um, I am literally like, I am the technological version of my dad. So if I have I don't know, if I have the Arturia micro freak,
Mm-hmm.
if I have the Arteria micro freak around me,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm using to make beats,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there's ways that I can do that with my cell phone, iPad, and even of course the laptop. But whatever I have closest to me is what I'm making beats on.
Gotcha.
And they usually all have, because I spend so much time making music on all of my devices,
Yeah.
I don't have a favorite. I don't have this one sounds better than that one. I make sure that I can create the sounds that come from my laptop. I make sure that I can make them come out of this phone.
Mm-hmm. I
And
love
yeah, it has to be the same quality. You have to
that.
spend that time to get that that skill set to where you can make a cell phone beat sound like a laptop beat.
Hmm. It's the world we
So
live in now where that's there, right? It's
yeah, man, it's available. So learn it. You know, people were, man. I'll never forget the day that I showed up with just my not even my laptop. It was my iPad.
hmm
Um, and it was like a couple big names in the studio, man. And they were like, "All right, dope. Can you?" I was showing off beats, and they were like, "All right, that one's dope. That's the best one of the night."
yeah.
All right. So I'm like, all right, bet. I'm gonna track it out, and I can airdrop it to you. He was like, all right, bet. Where's your laptop? Airdrop is done. I sent it to you.
Right.
And he's like, what? Where'd you send it from? I'm like, I made this on the iPad,
Uh-huh.
and everybody was just like blew back. This is probably around the time where I started my YouTube channel consistently.
Okay.
So yeah, to answer your original question, man, whatever, yeah, I would probably say, yeah, I don't even have a favorite. I don't have It's
hmm
literally whatever I have in my hands.
hmm
Um,
hmm You
if
go
it's
through
the cell
different.
phone, it's that. If it's the iPad, when I'm with my family, man, it's usually the iPad.
Hmm
The iPad allows me to be a lot more versatile.
hmm hmm
And plus I can, have more memory on the iPad, so I can carry more on that. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So probably the iPad, but to be safe. But um, yeah, I don't think I have a favorite. All of them do the same exact thing for me.
Uh-huh. I love that answer because I could relate to that so much. There's there's so many different ways, right, to make music nowadays. And when I first got back into making music, I went from the motif. I ended up selling the motif and thinking, because everyone was saying like you need to use a DAW, you need to have Ableton or Pro Tools, you need to have one of these things. I was like, all right,
Yeah,
cool. I bought Ableton. I spent a lot of time with that. I really enjoyed it. I made some dope stuff on there. But ultimately, the reason I kind of got into the more mobile kind of scene is I just love not having to be here to make music. I absolutely love being on the couch and all that kind of stuff, right? So, or like being outside, which is like that's my thing. Like being outside with this. You've heard of teenage engineering, probably.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
have the OPZ. I'm a huge, huge user of that. So like having that like in the woods or something like that, even though I haven't done that yet, but I want to do that. I want to like do like a nice
yeah,
video like in the woods, something. But I say all that to say I spent a long while trying to use the thing that's the most popular, like Ableton, like specifically using that, and then trying to spend a lot of time learning it and making this my main thing. But ultimately, fast forward a few years from then, when I tried a whole bunch of different things, now I kind of realize I think what makes me unique and you unique is that most people that we talk to, you can let me know if you've encountered the same thing, but a lot of people in the music industry that I've spoken to, they have the specific thing. They have Logic. Oh, I'm a Logic user, and that's it.
yeah,
It.
yeah. That's Bible for them. Yeah,
That's it, exactly. And to me, that's interesting, man, because like I think there's benefits both ways. I think everyone's mind works differently, but if you're spending all of your time on Logic or all your time on Ableton, you're gonna know that like the back of your hand, and
yeah,
you'll know that better than I know any of my probably right any of my I don't know 4 or 5 different ways of making music, just because you
yeah,
spend more time with it. But I think ultimately, like you said, it's like the feel. And for me, I'll go weeks or months without using the OPZ, or weeks months without using my Phantom, which I just took this thing down from my desk because I'm like I had to let me give you a little studio thing here. So I had that sitting on the desk right here, right?
okay,
And I use it all the time. I have some really amazing sounding stuff on there, but ultimately I'm like I need a little space here on the desk. Like it was
yeah,
like it was taking up 80% of the desk. And obviously I'm still teaching now, so I'm feeling all like tight. I'm like, I need to mix this up a little bit. So it's obviously expensive, and it's a main keyboard that I have, but I have to figure out how to work that into the whole, setting here and stuff like that. Cause I can't have that sitting vertical for too long. That has to be horizontal somewhere.
So the thing about workspace, right, is
Uh-huh.
your workspace is only as good as I know you heard the term, it's not the gear, it's the ear.
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So that's the number one reason why I started my YouTube channel,
Okay.
because right at that moment where I was in a studio, like a whole studio with, racks upon racks and instruments and, all these, you got big name people, right?
Sure.
And they're like, you did that on an iPad. And I'm like, yeah, you never heard of it? So so the fact that that was so new and out of like, so like people kind of laughed at it but couldn't really laugh out loud because they had to respect it, because they chose that beat
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was birthed
Yeah.
from an iPad.
Yeah.
Like, you chose that beat and didn't even know where it originated from. So, you know, it's weird, like how the industry is changing and how people laughed at, even the laptop 10-15 years ago, man.
Mm-hmm.
People laughed at, oh, you're making beats on FL Studio.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now it's like the industry standard,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. And back then it was Fruity Loops,
Right. Fruity
you
Loop.
know.
Yep. Yep.
and
Yep.
and people were laughing at it, saying it's not, that's not, that's not gonna
Professional.
make it, or that's not gonna be, good enough to make it to Hot 100,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy. The game is changing every day, but I created the channel to help people and show people how I was doing this, because I I know so many people were afraid to make music because of the lack of equipment, or the lack of a budget to spend on the higher end
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
controllers or keyboards, or, and there's nothing wrong with that stuff, but you really don't need it to make
Mm-hmm.
music.
Mm-hmm.
You don't. I don't ever want to be in a room and not be able to create because my tools aren't here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whatever it is, I want to be able to tap it, touch it, and create with it.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's my, like I said, my phone, my laptop, my iPad, um, some hardware synths.
Right.
I got to be able to create. You know, so to be able to give that back to people who are looking for a way to create was just like phenomenal for me. That was the value proposition for a lot of people. They came to my channel to learn how to make beats, and they had been watching the Oceans and the Henny the businesses, and um you know not so much Henny the business, because he did the adventures in beat making using the iPad. So that was like, oh, that's a thing.
That
But
was a
when
thing.
you get people that have the omnispheres and you know uh the whole suites, the whole wave tables and all that stuff, man, and people don't have the budget for that.
Yeah.
People want to know, how can I create with what I have?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when you tell them how, that's valuable. They
Mm.
appreciate you for that.
That's
Oh my God, you made me feel so much better about my creative process because you told me how to do it from something I already have. Of
right.
course,
Right.
you're welcome.
Right.
Go create something dope.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
I love that. I love that. Most people have an iPhone. A lot
Yeah.
of people have an iPhone. So there's that ability, like you just said, to be able to connect to this. And it's like, it's kind of like, what a time to be alive, right? It's like there's so
Yeah.
much availability, and to some it can be overwhelming because you feel like there's so many different ways you can go. But like you said, just starting somewhere with what you have already, right? With what you have,
Yeah.
and kind of going from there. Let me ask this question. So, like, have you ever been listening to one of your beats in Costco or in a store, or whatever? You just walking, it comes on the headphones, and like you're like, "Whoa, this is sounding. This is like really really dope." To the point where if you had a big name person that was like, "Yo, send me something that you have. I only have time for one beat, one song." And like, would you say that you have like a song that maybe is not your favorite, maybe it's not the best, but it is the one that you would, send to that person to say, okay, this is indicative of like what I'm capable of?
Yeah.
You have one
Yeah.
in mind?
I
Yeah.
have a whole folder now.
Okay.
Before I would have unfinished beats. Uh and I think I did this thing called New Beat November.
Mhm.
I think in 2018.
Okay.
where I just like I set myself up. I did like a beat every day for a month of the whole month of November, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with those beats, I was able to just throw ideas out. Whatever would come to my head, I was just able to throw it on the wall and hope it sticks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And by the end of the month, I realized, dang, I just threw myself 30 alley oops.
Mm.
I have all these idea and unfinished beats, and of course, we as producers have tons of unfinished beats.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Those are nothing but alley oops to revisit, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Turn them into something amazing
Yeah.
and
Yep.
capitalize on that. And those are usually my best works. You know, stuff that I poured my heart into initially and then just walked away from.
Okay.
It's like it's like getting right to the edge of um like winning a video game and then unplugging it.
Uh-huh.
It's like, oh, I just I know I could have won, but I just, it's like I'm gonna
Word,
just walk
man.
away from it right now because I'm that good, right?
That's right.
Um, and then being able to plug the game back in and start all over again and knowing that you can do it,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that you can slam dunk it, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and the way I set it up was where, like I said, I threw myself a layup, and then 5 6 months, a year later, I
Mm-hmm.
can pull from that whole catalog and recreate what I've started, and it's beautiful ideas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's just like my own sample library. I don't have to go to Splice.
Mm-hmm.
It's me. I'm pulling from me.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's
you
right,
know.
man. I like that.
So
Would you do another one of those? No Beat November? New Beat November.
um yes and no.
Okay.
Um, the reason why I say yes is because it was very challenging, man. It was very inspiring to see myself grow from that.
Mm.
Um, being able to create a beat every day. I know a lot of people is like, yeah, that's nothing. I do that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
No, 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 no. Organically create a beat from scratch, not no samples, no sample loops or anything like that. Like creating from scratch,
Mm-hmm.
and um, that was like a muscle. I was building muscle.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain, but I was building muscle, and I'm able to flex that now because now I can just pump out ideas whenever, you know.
Mm-hmm.
What the reason why I say no is because it took a lot to edit that stuff, man.
Mm-hmm.
To edit those videos, I don't think people would take into consideration. Whoever daily vlogs, man,
Oh,
hats off
yeah.
to you.
Yeah.
Hats off to you.
Mm-hmm.
That is a lot of work to do. Um, and being able to do it without depleting or kind of, degrading the quality of what you're putting out.
Yeah.
Jeez, that was a headache. But
Mm.
um, I think I will probably do it. I probably won't post it every day.
Okay. So you still would
So
spend time each day making the music, but like having to get a video out each day.
yeah, I don't think I would do it in that capacity. No.
Yeah. That makes
Yeah.
sense. That's something. So I kind of realized the other day too, like you were saying, seeing people that post those like dope beat making videos and stuff, and you can see them and you can see their instrument and they're vibing and stuff. And
Yeah.
I've encountered many times where I'm vibing to my music and I'm like, oh, this would be cool. People would like to see me going crazy about a song that I made, but
Hmm.
setting up the tripod and doing it seems inorganic to
Seems
me.
like work. So the thing about that, and I encourage everybody, well, not everybody. So if you want to grab attention, put yourself in the video.
Oh yeah,
Do not take your phone and go like this to the speaker.
yeah.
It I've done that recently, and
Okay.
it just looks so weird. And people aren't attached to that.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, nobody cared about my beats when I was doing this.
Hmm.
It's just it didn't feel good. It didn't look good. The beat might have been dope, But when people see the passion, people see that people can connect you
Yeah.
with the passion behind the beat, man.
Yep.
Whether it's staged or whether you're making it, real time,
Yeah.
people have to be able to see how passionate you are behind the beat.
Yeah.
And when people can connect that, man, that's a whole, and you talk about going viral.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Some of the most viral videos are never this. It's
Yeah.
never,
No
it's
matter how.
never the screenshot of the video player playhead
Yeah.
going. There's always somebody actually in that thing,
Exactly.
playing it or tapping it out on the pads, or it's always somebody. And yeah, that gives a chance for people to connect with how
Mm-hmm.
you felt about that, and
Mm-hmm.
what your head is doing when you feel that. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
Where
bro.
where's the swing coming from? Is it coming from the hip, or is it coming from the shoulders? Is it coming from the head? Where should I be listening from? You
Right,
know?
man.
So that's
Spot on. That's spot on, man. And I kind of had a moment yesterday. So I do a considerable amount live streaming, whether it's on Reddit or Twitch or not so much Instagram sometimes, but like YouTube channel, that kind of thing. And my moment yesterday was realizing that when I'm performing or playing or working on new music, and I'm like I have a nice setup here where you could see me and you could see the like what do I have here? I have this Akai, this thing I was using the other day. So I have this like controller for my iPad, and so like I'm vibing out, and I'm like, this is organic. I'm not the camera's on, people could see, but I'm just vibing out to this,
yeah,
and I'm like, oh, this is that clip that I can just remember the timestamp or whatever, or go through it later. But this
yeah,
is how I can get me in an organic state vibing to my music. And that was like, it took me a year or so to kind of figure it out, but like yesterday I was
man.
like, this is how it needs to be, needs to go down. And so I'm kind of excited about that now.
Yeah, man. If I can connect with you sonically and then put a visual to it, that's a dangerous combination, man. Like I said, just knowing how to rock with what you created is like I'm in there with you. You know what I mean? As opposed to watching you doing it or
Mhm.
experiencing it from. Think of your most favorite song, right? You sometimes when you play those songs on repeat, you create your own music video to it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like even
Yeah.
if it has one already, you create your own scenario. You know, I remember sitting in the car and listening to like Brandy or something like that, and it was like this really sad song, like "Have You Ever" from Brandy or something. And
Okay.
I would create my own music video, and I would act it out like, oh my god, and I would I would picture myself playing it or being in the studio with her while she's singing it, and I'm, you know what I mean, like we're creating together. That was my thing. So if you give somebody that visual aid, that's a form of value, man. People
Mhm.
value that so much, and I think that's highly underlooked these days.
Wow. Yeah, okay. I definitely needed to hear that. I definitely appreciate that. You have a wealth of knowledge, and I gotta say, very uh just a strong and great way of explaining things
Thank you, man.
and inspiring. And I'm feeling it right now. So I know people are gonna like gravitate towards this. And I'm excited to I was sharing with some other guests recently that instead of trying to get episodes out as frequently as I have been, I think what's a much, much, much more important thing, especially for my goal of, getting the content out to people in the ways that they're used to consuming it, is like there's several sound bites that are in this conversation that are less than a minute that I need to like go through, and that takes a while. Right? It's an hour conversation. Go through it, find them, but it's so worthwhile for people to be able to hear. What you just said. Like one of the many things you said that was profound was the dangerous combination of being able to connect with someone audio wise as well as visually. You said it better than me, but
Yeah.
yes, you get the point. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Like that type of thing is something that the person like me or many others that are out there, that not necessarily, I'm not obviously not afraid to be on camera, but I kind of sometimes take the easy way out and do what you just said, that screen share. I'm like, oh, this is easy. I can do a screen share. It's easy. The
Yeah.
sound quality is good, but
And
it's
I'm guilty of it. I'm
you
guilty
are
of it
too.
because
Okay, yeah,
it's quick to get it out, get the idea out there. You just want to show somebody what you did, right?
right,
But
exactly.
if you can make them feel what you did,
Hmm.
mm,
Different story.
that's another animal, man.
Yeah.
If I can make you fall in love with the process like how I did,
Hmm.
it doesn't matter what you're hearing. You're
Mm, right.
like I mean, it matters because, like I said, sonically it feels good, but
Hmm.
does it feel good like I was there or
Hmm.
like we did this?
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? So
That's big, man. That's
yeah.
huge. All right, so let me ask you. I could talk to you for another couple of hours, but I'm gonna be respectful of your time, and we'll definitely collab some more. I would love
For
to
sure, man. This is fun.
continue the dialogue. So I'm gonna ask a couple of questions about yourself. So rapid fire, just kind of whatever comes to mind type thing. So first question is, I want you to name a movie that you love.
A movie that I love. It's got to be quick, right? Uh,
Relatively.
ugh, okay. I'm gonna go with Avatar.
Ah, that was good. So they only made one of those so far. Is that right? Or did they make the second?
Yeah, they're working on the second one.
It was like 15-year spans or something, right?
Man,
Yeah,
James Cameron is amazing.
yeah, he
He's
is.
way ahead of his time. Um, it's just the technology isn't where where his mind is, and
Okay. And
that's
catching
the
up.
crazy part
Yeah.
about it. Yeah,
That was such a great movie. Damn,
yeah,
I've only
one
seen
of my
that
favorites.
once.
From the story to the creatures to the land to the symbolism in it. It was
Wow,
just it's amazing, man.
man.
Oh, that's just the scene, the like I said, visually, they
Yeah,
knew what they were doing. You could
yeah.
connect, you know.
Okay, I love asking that question now because whether I've seen the movie or and not for a while or haven't seen it at all, this gives me like I have a list of movies on my phone now. I just recently watched for the second time. It was the first time it was when I was much young, well, too young to really comprehend the how amazing this movie was. My wife and I just rewatched Shawshank Redemption. Have
Ah,
you
okay.
seen or
Yeah,
you've seen it? Okay, so I'm
yeah.
looking at this movie and I know people say that's like their favorite of all time and stuff. That's like the best movie. I'm watching this. I'm like, yo, this is pretty amazing right here. This like the story, the way everything. I'm like, this
Yeah.
is like almost like a masterpiece. And I'm kind of in that mindset now. I don't really and I wanted to touch on this too because you were talking about consuming.
Yeah.
So let me actually talk about that for a minute. So you were mentioning getting back into consuming content and enjoying content, and that spoke to me a lot when I heard you say it on the video because I I don't know if it's because I don't want to or I don't feel like I should be. I don't consume nearly as much as I used to back in the day. And I
Hmm.
don't know, I know a big part of that is because I prefer creating stuff, but I
Yeah.
also know that when I do consume something like Game of Thrones or like Shawshank or like Avatar when I rewatch it, or like Soul or like these, I can go on like Get Out, like that's one of
I'm
my
a huge movie fan, man. So we could talk movies all day.
are.
Like,
Okay, well,
yeah.
we're not even gonna stick with one movie. Let me hear another movie that you love then. Let's do
Oh,
that.
perfect. All right, bet.
Yeah.
My I would say my all-time favorite would be The Matrix,
See, that's
number one.
a rewatch. Okay.
And not for the reasons you might think. The Matrix taught me self-awareness.
Okay.
There's even a scene in the movie where the Oracle, um, the Oracle pointed it out and said that there was a scene where Neo walked into the room and the little boy said something about the spoon, and he said, "In order to bend the spoon, you have to first realize there is no spoon."
Mm,
Now I didn't get that. Man, I'm not trying to get deep or nothing like that, but I didn't get that as a kid. And I just used to think like, oh, this cool science magic. And
sure.
then he walked into the oracle's kitchen, and there was a sign above the door, and it said, "Know thyself." They never acknowledged the sign. It was in Hebrew letters.
Hmm.
And I looked it up, man. It said, "Know thyself." And that whole scene was about him being self aware. And if you think about um, the whole movie was about him being self aware.
Mm,
Um, and when you watch it from that lens, you think about people who have actual success, not just monetary, not, success in millions or career gains,
Mm-hmm.
success as far as like life wealth and well-being.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're very self-aware, man. They can tell you their flaws. They can tell you how they could tell you how to capitalize on their strengths,
Mm.
how to eliminate their weaknesses, who to
Mm-hmm.
delegate it to. They're very self-aware, and when you get to the point to where you can call yourself out on your BS, man, and realize that you are the one, you're the chosen one to do what it is that you're chosen to do, man. That movie taught me a lot.
Wow, that is very powerful. And that's another movie I've only seen once as a kid. I don't remember really anything from it aside from the pills. But yeah,
Man,
I
listen,
gotta watch
they
that again.
so I work a 9 to 5,
Mm-hmm.
and every day I'm thinking like I don't belong here. Whatever 9 to 5 I'm ever at, I'm always thinking I don't belong here.
Why do you think that?
I wasn't created to work for somebody else. A lot of people that's their end game, that's their goal. I don't believe that that's me.
Okay.
And I can prove that because throughout college, man, I didn't. I didn't. And like I said, that proof of concept in high school was how I paid for my college tuition. I
Okay.
sold beats to get me through
Okay.
college.
Wow, that's a significant testimony.
Yeah.
Mm.
So just knowing that what I'm capable of and what I'm actually doing, being able to tell myself, you got to go harder. You've done this before.
Mm-hmm.
You've
Mm-hmm.
done you've done what you wanted to do before.
Mm-hmm.
Do it again, and
Wow.
being self-aware enough to be able to pull myself out and say, have Trinity be like, yo, how'd you do that?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, do what? You move like they do.
Yeah.
And everybody can see it but me, you know. Um and that just the whole scene from the whole movie from the Matrix, it just taught me a lot about self-awareness and being able to navigate through a world who that's designed to keep you away from thinking your own thoughts or dreaming your own dreams or pursuing what you want to be.
That's
So
that's powerful. I appreciate you sharing that. Well, first of all, that movie, because I'm gonna watch both of those again. There's probably a wealth of movies that are just like that I've only seen the ones, but I need to revisit as an adult. So I definitely will.
oh
And
yeah,
if I can't relate to what you just mentioned about, I feel the exact same way, which about the 9 to 5 thing,
yeah,
which is why, my 20,000 foot view story goes having an engineering degree, working at Verizon for 12 years, various different roles, amazing experiences. And then 2 years ago, I needed to pursue my passion, which at the time I thought was education. I wanted to be an educator, became a
hmm,
teacher. Last year was undoubtedly my favorite year working anywhere professionally. It was that good being a middle school math teacher. So many highlights. When I'm, 30, 40 years from now, I will remember these stories, of what that was like teaching the youth and just really making an impact like that.
nice,
COVID happens. That's how the second year is going. It's a complete different experience, all remote learning and everything. Me
yeah,
being like diving into my content creation and my truest passion, which is the music, is making content. And
yeah,
man, if I made a decision a few weeks ago that I have zero doubt was the wrong decision. I have full confidence, as is my wife. Thankfully, I have someone that supports me in this. But
yeah,
I made the
that's
decision not
good.
to renew my teaching contract, knowing that the next step, if I am going to work another 9 to 5, the next 9 to 5 that I have to work needs to be something that's 90% or 95% revolved around making content so I could do what I love doing, and I have my tutoring to still be able to work with students because that's blowing up and that's keeping me. I mean, when I tell you, like, today is one of those days, 6 a.m. gym, 7:30 to 3 o'clock teaching full time, 3 o'clock till now tutoring full time.
Mm,
And earlier I had another conversation. So it was like one of those full days where I'm kind of like stretching myself a little thin, but I know
Yeah.
that this is all temporary because in what 2 months from now, school year will be over, and I'll have a chance to really, continue planning, continue strategizing. But what you said just now really spoke to me, and I think that so many people I've not spoken to listen to their stories on this podcast. I'm gonna link you afterwards. It's called How I Built This. It's an NPR podcast, and pretty much every not famous, every big company that you could imagine, their founder slash CEO has been on this podcast, and it's like a 30-minute episode per podcast,
Okay.
and they share their story of where they were before the business, what that breaking moment was for them to get started. And when I tell you that, like when I go for walks now outside, and they're like 80-degree day, the weather's nice, and I'm listening to this and I'm feeling inspired, there it just makes me think. I'm like, I have this idea of working for myself sooner than later.
Yeah.
And how insanely dope is it that I can listen to the stories of hundreds of people, how they did it, and
Yeah.
pull from it. It's almost like, it's like, wait, how is this, how is this a thing, And
Guarantee you they still all have that one same thing in common. If
uh-huh,
they're even if they're all completely different, they all have that one same thing in common. It's self-awareness,
uh-huh. That's
and that is the key. They're able to say, what can I do?
mm-hmm,
What is something that I'm good at,
mm,
that I can provide a service for? What is something that people value from me?
right,
You know, and without being self-aware, you can't even answer those questions, man. If you
right,
don't know who you are, how can other people receive you?
right. That's
So
exactly it, man. And I think a big moment, thanks for sharing. I think a big moment for me would be, especially going into the education space, was real. Well, I guess there's two things. One of them, why I started the channel, is because I've realized that almost every conversation that I had with people, it was always they were always great conversations, like
yeah.
both ways. I enjoyed it, the person seemed to enjoy it and be inspired, and I was like, okay, there's something to this, because I know that it's not normal to always have great conversations with everyone.
Right.
At least at the time I thought it was normal because it was normal to me, but as I understood the bigger picture, it's like it's not normal that that happens. Is like that's not like a normal kind of
For
thing.
sure.
And then having patience was the other thing. So the first thing I mentioned has to do with why interviewing people made so much sense to me.
Hmm.
And I love doing it. I love everything about connecting with people across the country like yourself that are like-minded.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, what a time to be alive, that we can be sitting here having a conversation that's dope, therapeutic, helpful, and it's going to help other people too. I mean, I'm going
Yeah.
to leave this feeling, great about the talk.
Yeah.
Um, and the other thing I was going to say is patience, and being able to not feel like, if I'm explaining how to use my mom's phone, or how to use the phone to my mom or something like that,
Yeah.
being like calm. I can explain it as many times as it's all good. And
Yeah.
that to me spoke to the education side, like being able to work with students that struggle. It's like, no, it's no big deal. We're gonna get through this together. I'm gonna teach, and that's I'm starting to figure that those how to kind of use those two traits about myself to kind of take off.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's amazing that you even know that stuff. Like I said, just the self-aware to be able to capitalize on that stuff is key,
That
you
is
know.
key, man. All right, two more questions for you, but bro. Next question. So we talk about movies. Next time I have you on, or next time I'm on your platform, or however we do it, we're gonna talk more movies for sure. Because
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
excited to hear about more. I want to talk about musical artists. I want to talk about, like, if you have a chance to go to a dream concert of yours, and there's gonna be 5 artists performing, only 5 of all time, the span of all time. Who's gonna
Ooh.
be your concert?
Hmm. 5 of all time.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, I'm gonna go with Prince.
Nice,
Yeah, Prince. Um, Stevie Wonder.
nice. Okay,
I want to do sheesh, 5. Okay. Prince, Stevie Wonder. Give me Phil Collins.
nice. Okay,
Give me geez. Okay. Only five. So we got Prince, Stevie Wonder, Phil Collins.
Hmm.
I want to see James Brown.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, I want to
Hmm.
see James Brown. And uh let's go with who would I want to see in concert? Uh I'll go with somebody new. Not new, but yeah, Usher.
Usher, nice. I was just
Yeah.
listening to, well,
Yeah, yeah,
that joint, even the remix of Ludacris. I was trying to remember how
yeah.
it goes. That's my Usher, not Usher, but Pharrell and Usher obviously killed that joint. Usher
Man,
on the
that
production.
Neptune sound with
Oh,
Usher, man, just it's a whole
it's
that's a
crazy,
whole
right?
era of just it can't go wrong, you
No, no,
know.
it's a
But
perfect.
Usher has been one of my favorites since My Way.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow,
So
that's first
yeah,
joint. Yep.
yeah,
When he
yeah.
shows his boxers and does a little dance thing.
Man, it's been I wanted to be Usher. That's who I wanted to be when I was a kid. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
I'm sure you've gotten you look like him because you definitely do. Have you gotten?
nah, man, you sure you for sure not the first person to say that.
Yeah, I can't.
I've gotten Usher, I've gotten Bobby Valentino, whatever the pretty boy that was out singing at the time. That's
Yeah,
that's who it was, man. I've gotten Music Soul Child, all that. So
the whole
yeah,
line. That's a dope lineup. Wow, I like that. Okay, all right, very good. I gotta listen to some more Phil Collins. Phil Collins, Bone Thugs and
man.
Harmony. That's the home. He does the home part of that, right? Bone Thugs and Harmony. So please,
No,
who is that? That is Phil
that
Collins.
Phil Collins
Right.
does. Let me see who what I can reference that you might. Oh, okay. He's the guy that does some of the Disney movie scores.
Oh, word.
Yeah.
Oh, I
So
didn't know
yeah,
that. Okay.
yeah. Phil
Wait,
Collins
I
did
think I do know that.
Tarzan.
Okay.
He did Tarzan. He did Brother Bear. He's done a lot, man. Phil
Okay.
Collins is amazing, man. I just like his voice. I like his lyricism. I like his musicianship.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just like Phil Collins, man.
I'm gonna check him out. Something I just looked it up. So yeah, the Bone Thugs and Harmony song. That's where I know his name from. Look it up. I
Okay.
don't remember, but definitely it's a dope song featuring Phil.
Okay.
It's called Home.
Nice.
All right. Last question, my man, is gonna be about just travel and like the best vacation that you've ever been on. What's the best place that you visited in the world?
Best place that I visited in the world.
Mhm.
Probably be I think it was my honeymoon.
Mhm.
I think yeah. We went to Jamaica for
Nice.
my honeymoon.
Okay.
And yeah, that was crazy because we got to see this place called the Luminous Lagoon.
Sounds good. Light up.
Yeah. I don't know if you ever seen that movie Life of Pi
I
where the
have.
water lights up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yes.
actually that's real. It's a real
What is it?
place.
Coral reef or something under it? What's causing?
There's a algae, like a bacteria algae in the water that when it's agitated, it glows in the dark.
That's crazy. That is real. So you
Yeah.
can see it from the surface, or you got to snorkel, or both.
You can see it from the surface, like when we rode through on the boat, it was
Yeah.
like a dark, spooky place. Like you get like 10 people get on the boat
Yeah.
and you roll
Yeah.
through the water. But as you're going through the water, you can see the water glowing
Wow.
trail behind you, and it's weird, man. So everybody jumped in, which
Wow.
I didn't expect my wife to do at all because she can't swim. So she jumped in and it was magical. It was like a Disney movie or something. But yeah,
Man.
Jamaica was an experience. But
That's
we
dope.
went to Vienna. I think that would be my second favorite place. Vienna, Austria.
Wow.
Um,
How was it out there? I've never.
it was very different.
Okay.
Food wasn't great. No, street food was way better. I think that's the case for every place, but
Uh-huh.
street food was great.
Okay. Okay.
But the people were different, to
Mhm.
say the least.
Okay.
Uh,
Different
um,
culture, different vibe than what we're used
yeah, for sure, different culture. But very similar vibes. They don't like Americans
to. Oh, that type
at
of.
all.
Okay. Okay.
But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
before, at least from my experience.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I think I think that was a good experience for me to experience other people's culture.
Yeah, for
So
sure. That's
yeah,
dope,
it was
man.
really
That's
nice.
dope. Austria and Jamaica. Yeah, I haven't been to either. Jamaica, my wife and I were just talking about. She's been once before. We got married in Mexico, and
Nice,
we've been to Mexico maybe like 4 times. Those all inclusives. We always had an amazing time. But we
nice.
were talking about like the next of that type of vacation that we go to. We have to go to Jamaica because
Yeah, man.
everything we hear.
Gotta go visit Montego Bay.
Yes, Montego,
Ah,
and I heard. I mean, so Montego is where the airport is, and then there's like Negril and Otros Rios, right? Which are like two
yeah.
hours in either direction or something.
Yep.
That,
Exactly.
so where did you go? You guys went to Montego Bay?
I went to Montego Bay.
Oh,
I wanted to go to 7 Mile Beach because I'm from Detroit and it's only right. But I didn't make it, man. I didn't make it to 7 Mile Beach
yeah.
because I don't even remember what the reason was. But yeah, 7 Mile in Detroit is like a big thing.
Yeah,
Don't ask why, but yeah, people think it's 8 Mile. It's really 7 Mile.
it's 7 miles. So all that means that you guys are gonna have to make your way back there eventually. That's all it
For
means.
sure, man. I gotta go back.
Absolutely. My bro, man, this has been a great conversation. I'm super appreciative. Like I said, we talked about
Thank you for having me, man.
change. Yeah, man, just continue doing what you're doing. It's super inspiring, and it's great content. And I think that, like you said earlier, like that vulnerability and just kind of being yourself and being intentional with the stuff that you're doing is spoke to me a lot. And I think that is what will stand out to a lot of people where you don't see a whole lot of that. You don't see a whole lot of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, man. I just like I said, just super appreciative. If you want to share anything with the audience, feel
Hey
free.
man, I'm again. I appreciate all the support, and again, if I can inspire anybody to do anything, man, um, I just say be organically you,
Mhm.
and create something that you know that you'll love, and whoever gravitate towards it is supposed to be there. Who doesn't, don't worry about it.
Don't even worry. Hey man, love it, bro. Have a wonderful rest of the night. I think so. Matrix tonight, or maybe Avatar.
Do the Matrix, man. Do the Matrix and watch it from an adult perspective.
Yeah, different mindset, right? I probably watched that, like
Yeah.
I said, in middle school, maybe, or early high school or something. So I total different person now, of course.
Yeah, man. You gotta look at it in a way where you're finding out who you really are, what you're really capable of, and not just him fighting and stuff like that.
Yeah,
It's really deeper than the action packed stuff. The
yeah.
action packed stuff is great, but it really speaks to who we are as people, and how we convince ourselves that we're not good enough a lot,
Mm, wow.
and
Hmm.
you have to know yourself, be
Hmm.
self-aware, and that's why people are always you know doing the daily affirmations. You're programming your brain to know that you are, I
Hmm.
am this, I am that, I attract this, I attract that, I you know what I mean, like you're telling yourself, this is who I am, this is who I accept to be.
Hmm.
And yeah, just watch. Just I probably didn't do a good job at explaining it, but yeah, if I go off on a whole, for the sake of the video, I just didn't go into how I feel about the
Yeah.
Matrix movie. But yeah, that's a whole, you got to watch the Matrix.
That's like going into it with just a more introspective mindset, which I definitely will do. And I will be hitting you up, letting you know my thoughts once I do.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Sure. So we'll definitely stay in touch, man. Have a wonderful rest of the night.
You
And
too, man. Thanks
discuss.
again for having me, bro. It was definitely good conversation. Definitely fun being here, man. I'm glad to be back in the scene of things, and I'm glad that everybody's ready for some more content. I'm ready to put it out. So let's do it.
Excellent. I definitely am, man. I'm looking forward to that, bro. All
I appreciate you,
right.
bro.
Yes, sir. Take care, bro.
Are you too, man?
All right, later.